to, let us tell our stories, man, and also the great friend that you are. I'm gonna say that. I mean, you're one of the few that you pick up the phone. You don't always text. You pick up the phone, check on people. So shout you out, bro.
I appreciate it. So let's take it back for the listeners. Where were you born and raised?
All right. Well, I was actually born in Evanston, Illinois. Lived there for a little while. Moved to the South Side. Then we moved north to Rogers Park, where I grew up. The majority of my childhood until about my teenage years.
But how was your childhood like for you?
Childhood, it was good. I was raised by my mother, two sisters. My father, he was in and out of my life. I will say this, growing up, I knew my dad. I didn't have the best relationship with my dad, and that's a lot of that is based on his substance abuse. So that was something that I had to navigate through. As a child, not really knowing and understanding it, and growing up and beginning to understand it. So life was good. My mom, she taught us a lot. She did everything she could and had to do to make sure that we were taken care of.
So what kind of community did you grow up and you grew up in, and how did it shape the person you became?
The community, well, looking at Rogers Park, where we lived at, was low income housing there. It was not really diverse. My mother did keep us protected. If we spent any time outside, I had like cousins and other relatives that lived in Evanston, so we would go there, sometimes traveling to the South Side. So, mainly around family, friends, but I don't want to say sheltered, but my mom did make sure she kept us protected.
She kept you on checking, make sure.
Yeah, absolutely, no doubt.
Yeah. So were there any influences or role models that planted that seed of service in you?
I have Uncle Maurice Hubbard. He served in the United States Air Force for 25 plus years. I originally didn't really think too much about the military. I knew he was in the Air Force, told me a lot of cool things, went to go visit him. I guess what really introduced me or brought me into even considering it was when I was in high school. I wanted to go to college. I went to college, but due to financial reasons, I couldn't stay away in college. So I came back to Chicago or Evanston area. I spent about 6 months back at home, and from there, I went to the Navy.
And that's what jumped into. That was that was a question of the idea, but so why the Navy, and what drew you to that specific branch, especially?
Okay. Well, a younger cousin of mine, him and one of his good friends, they joined maybe about a year before I did. And he was talking to me about it when he was leaving, and I'm like, nah, I'm not going to do it. I went to go talk to a Marine recruiter, and I just wasn't really sold on it. And the Navy recruiter, he was right next door. How I got into that office was when I came back from Chicago, to Chicago from Virginia, when I was in school in Virginia. My cousin's friend that he went to the Navy with, he was back at home out of boot camp. Like you come back and you can work for the recruiter. Yeah, so he was doing that. So I was on my way to work. I was working 2 jobs and going to school part-time. So he was driving, he, saw me. He's like, hey, man, you back? And, we talked for a minute. He's like, why don't you come up to the recruiting station, holler at my guy. I'm like, all right, let me hear what he got to say. So we go, talking to the recruiter. The one thing that sold me was the Montgomery GI Bill. Yeah. He had to tell me nothing else.
Yeah.
So
it's a subject, huh? It's who delivers it better,
Exactly.
And I tell people that like I had uncles that were in the Marine Corps, but my dad was in the Army, my grandfather was in the Army. But I thought, I felt like, man, the uniform, back in the early 80s and 90s,
right.
Those commercials were like, oh, you could be a dragon,
right.
And the sword, and when I went to talk to when I went to talk to the recruiter, he was like, I was like, well, the biggest thing, I was like, okay, well, what job would I get that if I want to use it into civilian work? And he go, oh, no, you find that out after you become a Marine. and I'm not gonna go. No, I'm not signing a contract, to possibly go to combat and go to war
Right.
without knowing what job. And I know you gotta sell it to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then my uncle told me, go talk to go talk to the army guys. See, they have a lot of jobs. They have more jobs than the Marine.
Right.
See if what you want, maybe something that might. And he goes, don't go to anything combat related.
Yeah.
And
I got that same advice. Same advice.
So why do you remember your first days of boot camp? That's the question I ask everybody that comes here, because everybody's boot camp experience, every branch is different, and different times too. Like
Right.
boot camp from the early '90s is not, and the army is not the same boot camp it is right now.
Exactly. Well, when I first went to boot camp, it was actually Naval Station Great Lakes. I think they had just closed down the training station in Orlando, so I was still at home. So it wasn't like a big deal to me. I remember, going out to MEPS. You do the processing and all that. They keep you overnight in the hotel. Bus comes, scoop you up, take you to Great Lakes. We get there, and we're at the recruit training center where they, do the intake. And it's funny because this is the same place where I ended my career in the Navy too, at recruit training center, Great Lakes. So we come in and you got your RDCs there, recruit drill commander or something like that. I can't remember the actual acronym, but I mean, you talking about like in your face, barking at you. To me, it wasn't. It didn't bother me because I come from a sports background as well. So I've always received tough coaching. Especially playing football. I'm used to the coach getting on you. When you mess up or just really So it's just I kind of looked at it. And I'm just real observant. And just being a part of that assembly line, taking all your clothes and stuff off, putting it in a box, labeling it, shipping it back home, throwing on what they call Smurfs, which are your gym clothes, the joggers, and getting that haircut, getting to the barracks, sleeping for a couple of hours, and then I'll never forget the instructor comes in. This may be like 5 in the morning, throws a garbage can down the middle of the barracks, man, and everybody's jumping up trying to figure things out. So it was a little wild and crazy, but I think it was the best decision that I made. Definitely the best decision I made.
So what was your specialty or your job? Your MOS. When you were in the Navy.
Okay. Well, I know like what you were just talking about, not really having a job at first, and I came in under a program. It was called the Seaman Apprenticeship Program, where we're responsible for like the maintenance and upkeep of the ship. So I did that for a little while, but I was blessed to be able to move around and check some different things out and try my hand at things that I liked. I ultimately ended up becoming a personnelman, which we basically do all the administrative stuff, on the ship and everything. It worked out great for me. Met a lot of great people. Had direct access to the commander and things like that. Working directly for them and doing things like that. So it was a blessing in disguise.
And could you share a deployment or experience that shaped you in a major way?
Yeah, did 2 deployments, both over in Europe. I think my second one, which was during the millennium, where everybody was like, "Oh my God, 1999, computers ain't gonna work, this and that." We were traveling. Our first stop was in Barcelona, Spain. So we were supposed to hit a couple of ports in Europe. First stop, Barcelona. Get on the flight deck before we go on Liberty. Captain says, this is going to be our first and only stop before we head to the Gulf. And everybody's like, what? Because the first deployment we did was called port hopping. So we were never underway out at sea for, the longest we were underway was 2 weeks, and that was to go from Florida to Europe. That was the longest. But we were hitting different ports, like we stayed for like maybe 2 days and another one the next day. So it was fun, man. Yeah. I was like 19, so I'm like, this is the life. But the second one was a little more real, as a father and all that, and going to the Gulf, being on high alert, hazardous duty area. So I remember that a lot because, it definitely kept me on your P's and Q's. Great learning experience too.
So, what lessons from those 8 years still guide you today?
Man, I want to say discipline. That's probably the biggest one. Discipline. Just the Navy. Like I said, it was the best decision I ever made. It helped shape and mold me into the person I am. Being responsible, and also just the honor of serving our country. That's not everybody can say that. And again, it's not for everybody either. But this was the best decision for me because I felt like I didn't know where I was going. When I came home from Virginia, and I wanted a way out.
Yeah.
So the Navy definitely taught me a lot of discipline, the camaraderie, the brotherhood. I still talk to guys that I was stationed with, my first duty station and my second duty station, and this is like 20 plus years of knowing these guys and seeing their careers grow, if they stayed in or even if they got out like I did. So the brotherhood is amazing, man, and I got to meet people from all walks of life.
Yeah, that's the big thing. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I know, and I said the same thing because I got out in the first time in 1996, and then the second time in 1999.
Okay.
I'm still friends with the same group of guys.
Yeah, I heard you on the podcast.
And those are my kids call them uncles. We're planning right now. We're going to Christmas on a cruise. Mm-hmm. And we're stopping. I said, we're in the East Coast. Why don't I rent a car and drive to New York and go spend New Year's Eve with my compadre? Right. I'm the godfather to his kids. You know what I'm saying? My kids call him uncle, and my daughter's on the phone every other day with one of my friend's wife. Mm-hmm. Because to them that's and then we have my buddy who's a colonel. He did a career, and right. And he runs the Army Navy game. So he just texted me last night because I told him, hey man, you're supposed to be on a phone call with me for the podcast, and he like, you still want to go to the Army Navy game? Man, you ain't gonna sell me that right now. Like, are you gonna give me a plane ticket too? But that's the kind of that brotherhood, and then we go to the next phase of the episode. Mm-hmm. That about when it comes to that brotherhood, because for me that's why that was the main decision for me to become a cop. Right. I'm not going I nobody knew because my dad, my aunts and uncles, they were a cop. And it feels like that brotherhood, and we're always gonna be and for the listeners that don't know, me and Hub were on a tag team together, and we're partners shortly, and then he took my spot in narcotics.
Hey, let me ask you a question. I know this is your show, but let me ask you a question. Do you remember the first time we met?
Actually, no, I don't. It's been a while.
We met working part-time at when we were working in the schools at Aspira.
Oh, for Elvis. Yeah, we're working for Elvis.
Location on Pulaski.
Oh, we were at Pantoja.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's where we first met.
Yeah, and a lot of guys always with security. Yeah. A lot of the guys like that. So after 78 years, what was coming back home to civilian life? Did you struggle with finding your place again, or did you just felt that you were ready?
That's a great question. Well, when I got out, when I separated from the Navy, it was uncomfortable, and that's just because the job security and the comfort that being in the military provided. Like, there's a lot of things that we don't have to worry about that your average people do have to worry about on a daily basis. So it was an adjustment, but I started preparing myself to separate because I always knew I wanted to be a police officer. Even when I was stationed down, Florida was my first duty station, Mayport, Florida, right outside of Jacksonville. And, police, military get along very well because, it's a paramilitary organization. Yeah. So I met a lot of Jacksonville sheriff's officers, and they were, talking to me about, the requirements to become, an officer. And, it was just something that I really said that this is something I want to do. And when I came back here to Chicago, I started testing for different departments. I think a year and a half, almost 2 years prior to me separating. And that's just because I knew the process, like it was going to take a little while. So I got out in 2004, and again, I bet on myself. The first job offer I got was from Park Ridge. It came down to me and two other guys. They went with one of the other guys. So I was a little bummed out, the chief called and all but offered me the job, but they went with somebody else. I was still on the list with Chicago, and I knew it was going to take a little while. So I was like, I think I think I'm gonna get this. So Chicago. I got that letter in the mail with the academy start date. I was ecstatic. So the adjustment was difficult because when I initially separated, I wasn't working right away, and I had a family to support. So a good friend of mine, he let me know that Best Buy was hiring the one that they opened up on Elston. That's where I started working at, once I separated. Did a great job there.
We could probably met there too, because my buddy was a manager there.
Okay.
Yeah. Kevin, my friend Kevin Maldonado. He was a sales manager.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was I was part of the crew that opened that store up. So it was good, man. But it wasn't what I saw myself doing long term. They did everything they could do to keep me, offer me a raise and all that, but
they were good at that. I worked at Best Buy too, man. Like I said, I know. Hey, they were like, "You leaving? We mean you're the permanent manager, and you gotta leave." Yeah, but I'm not the retail guy.
Exactly. So it was, it was an adjustment, but I bet on myself, man. I bet on myself, and I trusted God in the process too.
So how do you feel like to wear the uniform and work on the streets for the first time?
It was different. It was kind of like you get an adrenaline rush, and it's just because I think the difference between when we talk about law enforcement and policing now compared to like when you and I were like first starting out. I know you got a little more time than me, but the level of respect that we received back then versus now, people definitely were more pro police back then than they are now. Not saying that they're not now, but it's just different, given the climate. But I was excited, man. I was excited. It was, to this day, I still love wearing my uniform. Wearing it with pride.
I did too. So, what was your first assignment, and what were your early years like on the job?
First assignment. My first assignment was actually we were doing. Remember, we used to do the seatbelt checks.
Yeah.
So we were at Central Park and Armitage.
Oh, so you started in 14?
Yeah, started in 14.
Oh,
started in 14.
Yeah.
Yep. That's
when
I started.
Park. For the listeners that don't know, 14 is a Humboldt Park area in Chicago, permanent Puerto Rican, known for being a Puerto Rican community. Mm-hmm. And that's where I started. I've been there 16 or probably 17 years of most of my career. Yeah. So I'm 23 now. So
yeah.
So hey.
Yeah. And that's, to backtrack too, coming out of the academy, I was the assistant class commander, so I got to pick.
Oh.
So I picked Humboldt Park.
It was. I think back then it was a great district to learn.
Oh yeah.
Because you had a little bit of everything. We already knew that we had like the east side. We had like Wicker Park, Bucktown that was already changing big time.
Right.
Then we had Humboldt Park itself, gang infested, every gang, and then the west side you had a little bit of the 11th district, and the Clanton Kings with the blacks, with the vice lords, and then you go a little bit more north, and then it's almost like a melted pot of everybody. And
yes,
then,
it is.
and back then, like I said, to this day, I tell people, I said, you just do police, man, even though it's slow,
mm-hmm.
you just gotta know how to do your homework, have page, but because you've been in narcotics and it's a big thing, you sit and watch it, and people don't understand when you're in a covert.
It's different.
People don't even know that you're the police watching. I'm like, man, they just did a hand to hand. Yes. Every time I take my wife to Jewel's or to a girl's store, and I go, I want to stay in the car and go, why? I go, because I want to watch a movie. She goes, what do you mean? You're going to go to the phone? I go, no. I want to see how many hand-to-hand transactions or drop-off people do.
Right.
And she goes, what do you mean? I go, sit in the car 20 minutes with me, and I watch, and you see it. And I go, whoa.
Yeah, yes.
She goes, and like I said, I tell a lot of the young officers, she goes, because you have to do work right now to be on patrol. You know, like some kind of work to keep you fresh.
Absolutely.
He goes, because when you're gonna apply to go to a unit, they're gonna look at your activity.
Yes.
He goes, when you go there, even though it's not the same as it was when you got there, but it's still, like I said, I tell people, look at the perks. You get a take-home car, you get to follow, but you're a little bit more independent. You get to work your own case and you get your teams. But it's fun. So, but let me not get off track. So you were saying your first assignment, you would do a seatbelt check.
Yeah, we're doing a seatbelt check. Was working with FTO. Actually, retired Sergeant Eddie Yashimura. Remember him?
Oh, that was one of my gang guys. Yeah,
he was over
movie
there.
star. When I said Miami Vice, he came out in Miami Vice. Crazy martial artist who kick, would kick you in your leg with just while you're walking by just to try out.
Yeah, he was there, and stopped the gentleman, no seatbelt, no license, all that. End up having narcotics in the car, so it's just like everything at once. And again, I'm fresh out, so I'm like, I don't even know where to begin. You know what I'm saying? But they walked me through it. It was pretty cool, and like you said, with 14. I think that at that time that was one of the best places to go because, like you said, you experience a little bit of everything, and I think that definitely helped me, help shape and mold me into the officer or detective that I am today.
And we had a lot of great officers that we could always go to and ask questions and learn. They'll take you under their wing, you want to know how to do search warrant? You want to know how to do this? I'm like, you want to go to games and learn this? I'm like, sure, I don't know nothing about this, but I'll learn it.
Yes. So
when you look back on those 20 years, so what does that chapter mean to you,
Oh, man. It's, my wife asked me this right when I hit 20. I hit 20 in September. And I think I'm still soaking it in, man, because, I remember, like you said, I remember when I first started, midway through my career, and I guess kind of like now, the downslide of my, I won't say downslide, but working towards the end of my career. It's been great, the learning experience, the people that I've got to work with, the guys on our old tag team, it's that like you said, that continued brotherhood outside the military, a lot of lifelong friends, learning at 14 was great. I think though, if I had to look at my best experiences when I went over to narcotics, like you said, different type of work. I learned so much, about just different type of policing there. Also being able to have a major impact. Not that patrol you don't, because you do. Every day that you out there working, you do have an impact, but the impact was very different with my time in narcotics.
No, I said that, to me, I told you, when the task force got disbanded, I'm like, oh man, I think I got cheated on now because I felt like I got taught all these new tricks, and now you got me. And I don't know if I ever told you the story, because we all got dumped. You guys got dumped from saturation. We got dumped from that. Well, now we got dumped. They disbanded saturation. They disbanded the task force, and we're all back in 14.
Right. Yeah.
I'm third watch on a gang suppression team with Will Betancourt being our sergeant. But I said, I go, man, last month I was doing a 20 kilo buy. And we were working on a federal case with guns. And now I'm here in uniform, clean shaven. And my first stop was one of the targets. And I'm like, oh man, this is not right. And I thought it in myself, I go, man, this is not right, and I go, and it's not the department, it's not policy, it's just, unfortunately, some people make decisions, and to me, I'm like, oh man, it kind of messed up, but to me, it's a learning experience. I don't take it, everything that has happened, landed me to where I am today.
Absolutely.
23 years, I'm looking at, to me, it feels like yesterday. I have to think of all the search warrants. I think of that search warrant that, when we did on that IG, that I forgot what it was with the fence. Remember that? Hub became the Hulk, and then that was one. And then I think about Khan. jumping to go on the train to chase, like on the railroad to do surveillance to look at for the offender.
Right,
I think of those memories, and to me, but it feels like yesterday still. Like it's still fresh. That's why a lot of times people are like, "Oh, you're storytelling." I go like, "No," because that group of guys, that team, every team I have, we all get different memories and great memories from. But I go, we laughed a lot, like doing NATO.
Yeah,
we did a lot of like a lot of work. We were busy working 16 hours, but I think the most I remember is we were laughing so much. You fall asleep, you snooze. Oh man, there'll be a picture of you with a baton by your mouth.
With that group, like you said, we did a lot of great work, but the brotherhood, like that was major, man. During that time, that was like I looked forward to coming to work.
Oh no,
I was excited. I said, man, what we gonna get into?
Yeah, we didn't want to burn time. Right. We're like, no, I'm gonna miss a search warrant. Come on,
Yes.
So, how did the job after all these years? Do you think the job changed you or molded you into the man you are today? How and why?
I think the job has definitely helped me out a lot. Just in my constant growth, as a man, obviously as a husband and as a father, the lessons and things that we learn, doing everyday work, helping families, whatever it is that we do on this job, definitely translated to, our personal lives and everything. So it's helped me, grow a lot.
So the big part right now is I told you when I talked to you a few times about the podcast is, we like to talk about mental wellness, emotion, especially for first responders that are veterans. To me, that was my main reason to do the podcast, because they go hand to hand. I tell people, maybe we're not addressing it too much in the department. We are, I think we're doing better than when we started. And just to me, it's all about just talking about it. Let's talk about it. Open up, So 20 years on the job brings a lot of emotional weight. How do you take care of your mental health through it all?
My family, they helped me get through a lot of it. Seeing, my wife and I, we have 8-year-old twin boys. We're a blended family. But, our children, and also you have to be able to turn it off when you come home. And that's something that I definitely grew into. Like just being on this job and being young and, having fun. You see a lot of things, do a lot of things. It becomes a large part of your life. But with that, there's a lot of wear and tear because there's things that we see and deal with that your average person doesn't, see and deal with. And sometimes, it's still sitting with you. So my outlet is my family, man, and taking time to, be with them, and then also finding something else outside of the job to do, so yeah.
So what advice would you give to young officers today entering the profession?
Wow, the advice I would give is, especially, you spend time working with the FTO. I'm not bad mouthing FTOs, but, make sure you find or have the opportunity to work with a good, solid FTO and try to retain everything that he or she teaches you. Be a student. Be a student of the job. They say be a student of the game. When you're an athlete, you got to be a student here too. You got to crawl before you can walk, and just keep your eyes and your ears open, man. And my biggest thing is always treat people how you would want your family and yourself to be treated.
I agree because a lot of this young generation, unfortunately, is I call them the TikTok generation. They're always on the phones, and I'm like, oh man. And I understand because all of us, that's the tool that now we all got. The department is issuing a phone for you, for you to look at all the department apps.
I want to help.
Well, mine's but I had it because of this year program. We kind of gave that idea.
Right.
Because that's what they do in New York. As soon as you graduate the academy, here's your department platform. It has everything there. So you don't have no excuse to not look at your code or check your department email.
Right.
E-learning, and that's what evolved e-learning to be what it is right now. I'm just saying there might be other reasons, but that's what they would say. We don't care if you're on furlough, medical, IOD.
Yeah.
Do your e-learning, so you can do it with that. You can't. Oh, my phone's not working. Well, now I'm the department give you a phone, and I'm trying to teach the young officer. That's not for you just to have it at work.
Mm-hmm.
I also could teach them something else. How you can make some OT, but
right.
They don't. I know I cannot teach. You gotta learn that on your own. But so you're almost done with your career. We have talked. You had told me future plans, and I know your wife just got recently promoted to lieutenant. So congrats to her.
Yeah.
So I know everybody explores other things to get ready after retirement or during.
Mm-hmm.
So what are the things that you both are exploring together? Because I know you guys have something going on, and I'll let you talk about that.
All right. Well, my wife and I, we've been working in financial services or legacy planning, whatever you want to call it. But we primarily call it financial services. We've been in business for a little over 5 years. We were introduced by very good friends of ours. One, a husband who's actually on the job as well. He's right there with me at 20 years. And a lot of times when we have one career, we obviously you can only be the police for so long.
Oh, correct.
So we need a exit strategy, right? And that's just because bills and things, life don't stop. So you definitely want to be able to bring something in terms of income. So we were introduced to the opportunity, and it's been a great experience. Initially we came into financial services to make an additional stream of income, but it's actually become a crusade, and it's just because we educate a lot of families, individuals in the areas of investments, life insurance. We also help with mortgage loans, a lot of things to help families achieve and see financial success. My wife and I were both, we're fully licensed agents in our business where, we do help clients set up their investments as well as, we talk about education funds and things like that, for their children. Life insurance, very, very big deal too, because again, just speaking for myself, I have everything that the job offers us, life insurance, medical, all that stuff, we get all that. But here's the thing, a lot of us aren't aware of how life insurance works, how much, coverage we need, and the purpose of it, right? So we educate in that area, and again, like when we have a job, it's a group policy. So if I left CPD today and I didn't have anything outside of CPD, I'm 48 years old, so it's going to cost me a lot more. And these are things that we need to have in place early off. So I really want to educate in that area. A lot of being on the job, a lot of the younger officers, and get them educated so they know and understand what that looks like, because a lot of times, God forbid something happens and, we leave early, we leave a financial burden on our family, and that's the last thing you want to do. So,
So what has this transition taught, has taught you about partnership and life after service?
Oh, man, you got some good questions, man. Well, it's definitely preparing my wife and myself, just knowing that we're independent now, just in terms of our business. So we work as independent agents for the company Primerica Financial Services, and it's prepared us just knowing and understanding I guess kind of like it's on us in terms of the success of our business, which we've been doing phenomenal business. I mean, we are in the process of, replacing our incomes and things of that nature, so it's going to be a smooth transition from the police department to financial services full time. But, it's definitely, the partnership has taught us a lot, about one another. I will say, being in business with my wife, at first it was challenging, but she's my best friend, man.
Yeah.
She's my best friend. She kind of saw and caught the vision a little bit before I did, but it's turned into a beautiful thing just in terms of us growing and building a team. Of people, like-minded, wanting an opportunity to do something a little bit different than your average 9 to 5. Also, we are actually positioning ourselves for one of the highest contracts or the highest contract in the company. So we're doing phenomenal, man. But it's the preparation was a little nerve-wracking because you're doing something different, stepping outside of your comfort zone.
That's the biggest thing. You gotta step out of your comfort zone. That's me with this. Like, I know I like to talk, but you're looking at, okay, who's gonna be listening? That's the thing. I like. What am I delivering? What's the message? And that was my biggest thing. And at first I didn't want feedback. I didn't want nobody putting a comment on the podcast.
Right.
Until I remember, it was like where I dropped it in May. So in June, the Puerto Rican Fest, I'm walking to the festival, and people that are not police and that are not veterans, just friends, acquaintances that follow me on social media, tell me like, bro, we like your podcast. And I'm like, well, maybe I got something there. And to me, it hit me more when I got that phone call that WGN wanted to feature me about Chicago's very own.
Yeah, I've seen that.
That hit me. That hit me. Going like, oh, you know what? Then I am doing something right. I'm doing that. Like, to me, I was not because I was on TV, just because I got to highlight my kids that are not with me right now. That I'm not going like, okay, their story could be told.
Right.
And the biggest one is that you've been with me, well, most of my career,
right.
And you've been there for when my son passed away and everything, So the relationship that I'm having with my son Josiah, because he gets to edit the episode, he has to hear the whole episode, So he hears like the compliments that you gave me of our friendship, like he hear that and then he goes, damn, Dad, he goes. And they know you guys, like, oh, damn, Dad, like, really, that's how you met him, they hear the little story.
Right.
And it's always like every Sunday. Like, I want him to edit them like today. The next episode right now, I want him to edit like today or tomorrow. He's not gonna edit it to Sunday at midnight, and it's due at midnight. And we're upstairs, me and Jessica upstairs watching TV, and we're hearing him cracking up downstairs. She goes, man, I thought he was supposed to be editing your podcast. I go, well, yeah, he's editing the podcast. That's why he's listening to the story, he's cracking up.
Right.
And I love that because not every time, if I'm leaving in the morning to go to the gym or something, he wakes up, he'll come out of nowhere and just come and give me a hug. He goes, damn, Dad, I love you. Thank you for your sacrifice, or thank you for that. I'm like, nah, I'm your dad. I'm doing this because I love it, because I want to do this,
Right.
So when people talk about Clarence Hubbard, Navy veteran, CPD officer, leader, what do you hope they say?
What I want them to say is, a man that, was dedicated to serving the city of Chicago, with pride, professionalism, and integrity. Also, serving my country the same way. Just impact. Impact, and I want people to look at me as we say in our business, in financial services. I want to be the example and not the nightmare. So I want people to just be able to look at me and just say, hey, stand up guy, did things the right way.
And this probably goes with the same question. So what legacy do you want to leave behind for your family, your community, and the people who walked alongside you in uniform?
The legacy that I want to leave is, again, just just pride, honor, obviously, commitment. You got to be committed to, do the things that we do on a daily basis, even when you don't feel like going. You go, but that's your dedication and your commitment. So.
And then my last question that I ask every guest: what does duty beyond duty mean to you?
Wow, hit me. Duty beyond duty. I think that has to do with having integrity. Just how they say, like, integrity, doing the right things when people aren't looking. And duty, you obviously, serving in a certain capacity, be it, military, police department, job, even serving God. But, doing those things with pride and doing the right things when nobody's looking and doing the things that you're supposed to do because that's who you are. So, yeah.
So 8 years serving his country, 20 years protecting his city, Clarence Hubbard has embodied the true meaning of service, not defined by rank, not defined by medals, but by character, sacrifice, and integrity. From the water to the street to his new chapter of life, he continues to represent what it means to live duty beyond duty. Clarence, thank you for service, your leadership, and your example. And to everyone listening, remember the uniform may be one day may come off, but the impact, the lessons, and the legacy remain forever. I'm Manny Guzman, and this is Duty Beyond Duty. And Hub, any links for anybody who wants to follow, get some more information about your business?
Absolutely. I dropped my phone number. The phone number is 773-656-3315. You can also find us on www.primerica.com / Rihanna, spelled RHIANNA, Hubbard. You can find us there. We're all about educating, families in the area of finances. So, give us a call. Free education don't cost you anything.
Again, thanks. Until next time. Let's see. Don't hang up yet. Let me do this.